Good morning, everybody. My name is James O'Hagan. I am the Director of Digital Virtual Learning for the Senior Unified School District, and I'm also the host of the Academy of Esports podcast. And I'm here to talk to you today about esports and the scholar game. And I'm going to open with this quote, because esports in schools is something so much more than just us playing video games. So you become responsible forever for what you obtain. And that quote comes from the book of Little Prince. And it's in relation to Little Prince is talking to the fox. He's reminiscing about the flower that he has taken care of and grown up through the years. And he is responsible now for the well-being of that. With esports, we have a responsibility as well, too. This is not a talk. What I'm giving you today is not a talk at all about esports and what esports is. This is a manifesto. Information is only a Google search away, so if you're here for just information about esports, I'm going well beyond that today. Today is my call from all of you to face a multi-billion-dollar industry and say, we will make this the absolute best for our students. And this is how we will do it. So very simply, esports is organized, competitive video gaming. But it is no longer cutting edge for a high school or a college to have an esports team. What is cutting edge is what you do with it. And every day, I get Google alerts, every day on the subject line esports, of schools jumping in to fill this space. But if done properly, the games become a vehicle for so much more for your students. And to do this, we need to choose intentionality over monetization. And we need to choose responsibility over rush to implementation. So why esports? I have 5 reasons why I feel esports should be part of school and school culture. Number 1, it gives us the opportunity to redefine what athletic culture is in our schools. Number 2, it's going to diversify opportunity for student participation. Number 3, it increases career and collegiate scholarship pathways. Number 4, it actually promotes positive mental and physical health. And number 5 does something so very important to all of us, is it honors the importance of play. So number 1, redefine athletic culture. This football helmet that you see right here is the football helmet of one of my former teammates from high school. His name is Kevin Sir. This image is public. There's a source right here in the presentation. If you need the presentation today, there's a QR code here you can scan, or you can go to esports.irish/connect and pull up this presentation as well. But Kevin's helmet here, this was from one season of playing football. And I bring that up because at the start of the season, these stripes were brand new. That helmet was white. And at the end of the season, that's what he had. Kevin today suffers from migraines, depression, short-term memory loss, dizzy spells, and an assortment of other issues over the years. Now, I myself also played football with Kevin. But if done properly, if given the opportunity, if somebody came to me and said, do you want to participate in esports, where we're going to talk to you about physical health, good mental health, we're going to get you with a coach, there's going to be purposeful play and purposeful practice and organization around it, versus playing football, I would have given up my helmet in a heartbeat. And there's kids every day in our schools who want to participate and be part of something. They want to compete, but they just don't always find that thing that drives them to competition. 90%, roughly 90% of our males in schools identify as being a gamer. And about 60 to 65% of girls identify as being gamers. And we can bring in esports and start to redefine what athletic culture can look like in our schools. We also want to diversify opportunities for student participation. We know that if we get kids involved in after-school activities or extracurriculars, GPAs are going to go up and attendance rate is going to go up. You can have the best curriculum in your schools. If you don't offer your children something that connects them to the social fabric of their buildings or their schools, it doesn't matter. Those things don't matter. Curriculum only gets you so far. A good teacher only gets you so far. Kids need to be intrinsically motivated to be part of the school culture. And the other part of this that I think is very important to note is this kid Owen in this photo here. There was a commercial that ran during the Super Bowl because Microsoft put out a product that allows kids of all ability levels, whether disabled or not, to play video games. Now think about in your own schools. You have children that you walk past every day who have a physical disability or even potentially a mental disability of some kind that does not allow them to be competitive in your traditional athletic culture. This becomes now, because of assistive technology tools like this now becomes a level playing field. This now becomes the opportunity for all of our students, no matter whether they're male or female or don't identify as both, whether they're able-bodied or disabled, and whether they're fast, strong, or not, to all participate in something together. This is about inclusivity, and this is about equity. This is also about increasing collegiate scholarship pathways because colleges need to attract new students. And the ways that they're using to attract new students is through esports. So at the start of this school year, there are 128 college varsity programs, roughly, around the United States, with about $15 million in scholarship money sitting out there. Fast forward, in 5 years, it's projected to be 800 college varsity programs and $100 million in scholarships for playing video games. And you may say, that sounds crazy. We give college scholarships for people who can put a ball in a hoop. We give college scholarships because somebody can throw a football a long distance. How is this any different? It's diversifying your student pool, it's attracting the students that you want to attract. And the only way that these students are going to have access to these is if your schools, by and large, participate in esports. It's also imperative as an equity and a social justice issue because there's actually not just a digital divide in our country between rich and poor, but in the gaming world, there is also a digital divide between Asians and whites who have access to PC games, which is what the colleges are going for, versus Hispanics and blacks who tend towards console gaming. And that then leaves them out of this potential pool. So it becomes vital for your schools to also become part of this esports culture. Number 4, promote positive mental and physical health. Now you may think video gaming is not a physical activity. There's a difference. We're not just talking about gaming, okay? We are talking about using video games in an organized, competitive way. So there's structure around it. There's purposeful practice around it. There's coaching that's involved. And in order to be a peak performer in esports, you need to do things like lift weights. Because lifting weights actually trains the brain in complex thinking, reasoning, multitasking, and problem solving. We need to bring in yoga into esports, part of the training. During a match, an esports athlete's heart rate can reach 148 beats per minute on average. Now, to put that in perspective, if you've ever done a high-intensity training workout like CrossFit, you go for 10, 15-minute bursts, you're going at 145 to 160 beat per minute heart rate. And if you've ever done one of those workouts, you know how exhausting that can be. So imagine sitting down and playing a game where you have to not only problem solve on a moment's notice, but you also have to control your emotions. You have to control your breathing. You have to be mindful of not only yourself, but your teammates around you at the same time. Yoga is a fantastic thing to bring into this, as well as the high-intensity training. High-intensity training helps with cravings, addictions. But the other part of this, too, is the mental health component, because people say to me all the time, doesn't playing video games make you addicted? Our children are not flocking to video games because of an addiction. Our children are flocking to video games because it is the place where they feel a sense of competency, where they feel a sense of autonomy, and where they feel a sense of relatedness. That's self-determination theory. That's intrinsic motivations. Those are the things we wish our students had in our schools. But imagine the mental impact every day of being told what you do is a waste of time. We don't tell kids who like to draw that it's a waste of time. We don't tell kids who play basketball that it's a waste of time. We don't tell kids who like to dance that it's a waste of time. But by bringing gaming and esports into our schools, we then change the narrative. It doesn't become a waste of time. We take those intrinsic motivations and we use those to our advantage. Because our children are coming to us in crisis. We have a mental health crisis in our country with our children. And a lot of that stems from the next part, which is honoring the importance of play. I want you to take you back to about 2001, 2002. There was a piece of legislation that was passed in this country called No Child Left Behind. I was an elementary school teacher at the time. And after we stopped freaking out, and we started to realize what we needed to do, what happened? We had to focus on reading, and math, science, and social studies. We had to do the core. Because if we didn't do the core, we were all going to be fired, and our schools were going to be turned over to somebody else, and we were going to be pushed to the side. But what happened in that too, in that rush to go towards standardized testing, we pushed play to the side. And when you've got a country of kids who are in a mental health crisis, there are two ways that you really push against issues of mental health in children. Number one is with a positive adult interaction. And number two is through play. Those two things together push against those adverse childhood experiences that some of our children come to us every day. Where I live in Racine, Wisconsin, our adults, 62% of them have had at least one adverse childhood experience. And that could be abuse, hunger, homelessness, a divorce, any of those kinds of things. So if our adults are suffering from these, chances are they are being passed down to our children. So this becomes more imperative that we honor that importance of play. Fred Rogers says it best. Play is often talked about as if it were a relief from serious learning, but for children, play is serious learning. Play is really the work of childhood. We need to honor that again in ways for all of our students. So, am I talking about developing a whole school of esports athletes? I say that term and it gets people's emotions going up, and I can't figure out why. For some reason, people get very defensive when you put video gaming and athlete together, or esports and athlete together. But I've come up with a different term because I feel that esports athlete is much too narrow of a term in all this. The term I use is scholar gamer. She or he is more than an esports athlete. She or he is the full potential of what esports allows our students to be. So that goes well beyond gaming. I want to show you this picture. Now, my good friend Tom Turner and his group at NASCF, they spoke 2 days ago, shared this image. And a lot of this encompasses the scholar gamer, but it goes a little deeper than this. So as you see here at the center, you have players and games, and the different roles they can have. In esports, you might have a child who comes to you, and I have such a child who came to me on the first day this past winter and said, I don't want to play video games. It's kind of surprising to show up in our space, and you don't want to play video games. She wanted to be a shoutcaster. She wanted to be the person who sits at a green screen, a computer, goes into the games and tells people what's happening in the games. She wanted to be the storyteller. She wanted to do the color commentary. The other great thing we've been able to do through all this is we've connected kids in, not just into many of these career potential fields that they have. We've connected them into a community space in Racine, Wisconsin called Not Your Parents' Basement. We have 3 high schools all compete together in the same space. Now, there was a lot of worry putting 3 high school teams together in the same space to compete. It's been beautiful. Whereas this tribalism about high schools being super competitive, putting three teams together, this is what I witnessed. On the first day we were there, 2 teams were competing against each other. One of the teams was sitting and waiting to compete. They were cheering for the other teams. They were supporting the other teams. These kids had found their tribe. These kids had found their peers. They had taken them out of the basements, out of the homes, and brought them into a very pro-social atmosphere. And the Scholar Gamer kids are going to be all of these things. They're going to have potential and possibility to have all of these things. Web developer, marketing, fandom art, journalist, streamer, shoutcaster. But the Scholar Gamer is also going to be health conscious, because when we present the idea of this, we need to bring into our students the ideas of weightlifting, yoga, high-intensity training, good eating habits, good sleep habits. You know, it's a hard battle to talk to high schoolers about sleep, and they openly laughed at me when I said you should get your 8 hours. But at least start the conversation. Again, it's a pro-social environment, a pro-social atmosphere where we are. This is not anti-social behavior. This is not hiding away in a basement. This is all pro-social. This is an inclusive environment. I have a student, she is the, I guess you could say, captain. It's important to say, she's the captain of the junior varsity Overwatch team. So they play the game called Overwatch. And she runs the team. It's 5 boys and her. And she is the captain. And she calls the shots. And she tells those boys what to do, and they listen. They listen. It's a total flip of things. And not only that, in this environment, this is one thing that teachers are going to really struggle with in this environment. You are not the experts. That's a hard thing for teachers in that environment. You're not going to come in with all the answers. Tell me where in schools we really flip the model where the kids are going to coach the teacher, or teach the teacher, or teach others. Kids are going to do it, and they're going to be excited to do it, because the profile of the coach in this environment is somebody who is going to be supportive, understanding, help get things organized, be an advocate. So as the educator, that's your role. Now you can know the games, but I told it to somebody like this. Imagine if you were the single coach at your school, and at the same time you had to coach football, baseball, and basketball all at the same time. You may be a good football coach, but you may not know a whole lot about baseball or basketball. That's okay. In this environment, the kids are going to help you out as well too. And NASEF does have fantastic resources also free for everybody to help with coaching and getting your team organized. But this is more than this, because all of this here, again, leads to those career pathways. So you'll see things like computer science, game development, art, psychology, marketing, broadcasting, sports management, fitness and nutrition, journalism. All these things come together that lead those kids into that next step. What are we going to do with all this? Esports allows the vehicle for all that. But again, if you focus just on the gaming, you lose out on that bigger opportunity. So again, I want to call back to why esports, these 5 things. But I also want to give you this. This is an image that I put together that I feel encompasses the Scholar Gamer concept. You can pick out a word in any of that word cloud, and I can give you a conversation about esports and why it's important that we do these things with our kids and connect our kids in this way. We are the founding generation of educators developing Scholar Gamers. That's kind of exciting, right? Should be. The choices we make now create the framework this can become for our students. For them, we must be explorers. We must be architects. We must be leaders. We must be coaches. We must be innovators. We must be advocates. We must be crusaders in all of this. For them, we must be vulnerable. in this environment. That's a key thing. You've got to be vulnerable. But for them, we also must be brave. For them, we must be responsible forever for what we have taken.